Hello, everybody. We are back once again for another arc of the Open Doors saga. This time, Satan sucks. We start with the very first chain of receipts, that's DPSS, and we'll start with DPSS01. It's written by the owner on December 6, 1995, and it says, "While we've been off chasing goats, worms, and oddly shaped children, Padre's been an awfully busy priest. I know I've been, well, distant perhaps. I assure you all that it was for a good reason. I've been closely monitoring our clerical friend and his Open Doors church. As I hinted yesterday, Padre Santos seems to have been stirring up a renewed vigor in the classic satanic panic of the 80s. Of course, such panics are nothing new, historically speaking, though what Padre Santos has manufactured is most closely related to the so-called moral majority of the 80s, which is to say he's got a lot of stay-at-home supermoms up in arms over board games and death metal. I don't think I need to point out the clear and almost painful irony of Padre Santos's lobbying claims of satanic influence over his parish, though I couldn't figure out why he was drawing so much attention to the occult forces. That was until 44 discovered the anathema proxy. Let's call it a tax loophole that lets Padre sell his coffee tax-free, though he can only do it if his followers are perfectly free from sin or vice versa. How the IRS judges whether or not someone is sin-free is beyond me. Truly, I don't know how that would hold up in court, though I suppose that's not our worry, is it? Our worry should be stopping Padre Santos's satanic panic, the root of which would appear to be the mother-led group calling themselves Satan Sucks, which I believe is an acronym for Stopping Unholy Cults to Keep Society Safe. Or maybe it was Keep Society Satan-Free, though if that was the case, it would be a bit of a hat-on-hat no. To be entirely honest, I've been paying very little attention to the cutesy or creative details at weekly meetings. Yes, I probably should have mentioned. I've been posing as a concerned father myself at these meetings to garner more intel. For what it's worth, I've managed to rack up quite the Rolodex of single mothers' numbers. I'll have 17 run them for any interesting connections. If anything, I believe we can all agree that Satan does indeed suck. Okay, so that makes sense. I was aware of the name of the arc, but I didn't understand why it was called that. And I do like that these arcs are tied very much to the subjects of them. With that being said, let's go to DPSS02, which is written by Employee 35 on December 20th, 1995, and it says, "Things have certainly escalated with the whole Satan sucks thing. I'm not sure how they swung this, but our homeroom has been replaced every Wednesday with an anti-Satan seminar so we can learn how to protect ourselves from satanic influences. I feel like this is not quite the separation of church and state our forefathers thought up, though I guess they're getting around it by making it opt-out. If you opt out, you're pretty much painting a major target on your back as some sort of satanic worshipping pariah. Besides being an opt-out program, it's not directly about Satan, but more about spotting negative pop culture influences that lead to violence and crime and refusing peer pressure. So far, we've covered how most Hollywood movies are actually indoctrination by some sort of shadow government. Sound familiar? I'm not sure these moms have it all together. Then again, I suppose a lot of what we do is controlled somewhat by the seasoning industry. It's just weird. All of their points are really far off and based on some sort of weird, hysterical panic, but they also occasionally will say something that makes a little too much sense. I was thinking of opting out because I value my free time and sanity, but it might be another way for us to keep tabs on what's going on with the sucks. I'll start keeping track of all the weird things I say, and if they seem to be sipping on more coffee than they should be. I feel like they have to be getting some coffee for Padre tax-free, but then again, if they're just pretending to be ignorant, they should really move over to Hollywood. Oh, and the best news? The mom in charge of weekly seminars is not Jan, proving at least to me that there is a God and he is good, so I guess whatever they're doing is working. I would probably be kind of pissed off about that too if I were a kid in school. Next we go to DPSS03. The hint is things of value, and it should be 4 words from DPSS02. Value. Is there value in here? Free time insanity. Free time and sanity. Boom! That was too easy. The next one is by 1313 on December 21st, 1995, and it says, "I opted out." Oh, immediately. I didn't even really officially say anything. I just left, and I dragged 44 with me. I'm not putting up with any of that garbage. Besides, I don't think my parents would appreciate the sentiment they're trying to push. I'm sure my mom would say something about how it's really closing off our worldview. And Dad? He'd say something like, "Hopping hellfire, pumpkin. You should have burnt the whole building down at the suggestion of it. Did you know there's a 12.4% chance you'll die or be seriously injured at an arson-based protest at any public learning institution?" Or, something like that, I'm sure. Of course, I don't want to make my lovely little red suffer for nothing, so I figure I might as well make my protest count for something. Me and the king of car parking are going to set up our own Wednesday club. Something like Satan sucks. Probably not exactly that, but you get the idea. We'll host Shadow Story games and watch slashers in the library on Wednesday. I know. This sounds a lot like we're just going to have fun without 35. First off, I don't enjoy playing Shadow Story with 44. He's a rules lawyer. Second, I think this could be a good opportunity to draw in the weird outcast kids and keep an eye on them. We already know that Akka likes to target those kids, and this is probably the best way to keep them safe. Plus, it'll give us an opportunity to keep our ear to the ground for any serious occult stuff going on with our fellow weirdos. I don't mind having a target painting on my back, because I assure you that bullying me is a mistake. And 44's already got the blinking bully me sign attached to his X-Files t-shirt and alien print backpack. But again, he's safe because you mess with him, you're messing with me, and no one messes with me. As for the other brave souls that want to hang out with us instead of 40-something overly involved moms, they'll probably just have to tough it out on their own. But if there's enough of us, it should be fine. Plus, if we can convince the librarian to let us show stuff like Friday the 13th, I don't think there will be any real competition between the two Wednesday activities. I love her for this. 1313 is fucking hilarious. And I love voicing her too, just so you know, if you haven't figured it out. I like that we're getting kind of a look at how smart these kids actually are. And that gives more fleshing out of their character. Next, we've got DPSS04. This was posted by the owner on New Year's Eve in 1995, and it says, "Aw, see, I made it in time for the monthly recap. I'm trying to be more on top of things, I promise, though with recent revelations, I must admit it has been more difficult than usual. But if it was easy, it wouldn't be worth doing now, would it? I'm hoping with our newly acquired equipment from the Caramel Works, I can get a better grip on some of the problems weighing me down. In any case, as expected, everyone's service this month has been top-notch, as is to be expected of the cafe and diner. 26, 62, and 53 promptly served Mr. Hazen, a rather mischievous and unpredictable customer. I guess we'll find out about that later. Additionally, their service has led to a slight upgrade for our CADCOM devices courtesy of the Massel, Blackwood, and Barista Technologies. Our new CADCOMs have the capability to shut down unauthorized air travel over Long Beach, which should help clean up last month's mess and many messes still ahead of us. Though we just served her, Mrs. Umbra requested additional service this month. She brought with her a trinket that was gifted to 35 from Mr. Clemens. This trinket originally belonged to Mr. White, who has been able to recover it, putting a temporary hold on Mrs. Umbra's most recent plans. How Mr. White retrieved the trinket from the cantankerous Mrs. Umbra is beyond me, though to repay his efforts, we retrieved a piece of equipment once owned by Mr. White from the Golden Caramel Works in Santa Clarita. We will be holding on to that equipment for the foreseeable future until Mr. White needs it back. Lastly, as everyone in Los Angeles must now be aware, there is a new parent activist program, Satan Sucks, an effort to stop unholy cult to keep society safe. While they have infiltrated public schools in SoCal, I have infiltrated them and made myself quite the valuable asset to their cause. However, there's been some drama regarding my lack of commitment to several of its members. Assuming this drama does not boil over and the single moms and dads can learn to share, I hope to get to the bottom of how involved this activist organization is with Padre Santos of the Open Doors Church. Satan certainly sucks. 2 to the 3rd, which is 8. The last one we're doing for this particular video is DPSS05, which is posted on New Year's Day by employee 62. And it says, I for one think it's gross that the owner is flirting with single parents. I get the needing to infiltrate the Satan Sucks moms and 3 dads, but I don't know why he thought putting his friend's charms on as many of them as possible could be a good idea. So now he has to duck and dodge multiple single parents, and it's only made as reclusively worse. If you ask me, it's more coping with the Lucy situation. Regardless, it's annoying that I need to run his groceries because Tammy and Salvador both shop at the same store. At least his paranoia wasn't unfounded this time. I did see both Salvador and Tammy shopping today. I would be more concerned about how the owner knows their schedule so well, but I've also seen a glimpse of his string board for each member of Satan Sucks. If he is anything, it is meticulous. I wasn't able to glean too much from my eavesdropping. Most of what they were talking about seemed to be about who the owner was more serious about. I also had deep displeasure of hearing Tammy suggest a ménage à trois. Yikes. Of course, I wouldn't make a receipt if all I heard were the gross details of these sad middle-aged parents. No, Salvador and Tammy also were discussing the leadership of the cult, committee. They never explicitly said the actual leader's name, and based on the owner's string board, he doesn't know who it is either. They mentioned that some lady named Jan and another lady named Linda have become their eyes and ears and have started kicking people out of the organization who weren't worthy. Apparently, it's gotten pretty ugly. Salvador even mentioned secret loyalty tests, and Tammy said she heard they were close to that of an inquisition. Yikes indeed. This is heating up pretty quickly, and the owner's probably gotten himself a little bit over his head. We'll see just how over his head it is next time. Until then, sweet nightmares. I just wanted to take the time to thank my Patreons and channel members. Your support is so appreciated. If you are not a channel member or Patreon and you would like to become one, there's a link in the description below. All channel members and Patreons receive 24 hours early access to all content posted on both of my channels. And all Patreons or channel members of the $10 Hellhound tier can request one horror-related video or stream topic or one horror-related game that that I play on my live streams on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Again, thank you so much for supporting the channel and the content that I make.